Okay, good afternoon, folks. It's time for a Psyop update. It's been a couple days since my last post, and I wanted to give you a sit rep on what's been going on with me. Um, First and foremost, if any of you are following this Iran debacle, understand that the prices, it's going to be a very expensive summer, both at the grocery store and at the pump. And I'm a subject matter expert on international affairs, global war on terror. I've presented at the most prestigious universities in the country. I've been on podcasts. I've, I'm writing things online, and I'm going to be writing a book this summer. And I can tell you that the situation is an absolute mess. All right, and we're being played by this administration in a number of ways. So my point is, get ready for an expensive summer. All right, getting on to my um, situation. Again, I've been targeted for what I know 7 years. Obviously, it's been longer than that, but I became aware of this nasty, nefarious, sinister program in 2019. And the last time I spoke to y'all, I had mentioned that the police and fire stuff was not as significant as it used to be. All right, so normally I would go out and I'd have police kind of all over the place, or fire pull up in fire engines or paramedics. And I made that comment, um, and the next day when I went out, uh, they, as soon as I left my house and got on the main street, they had a police car. I'd come, on the next lane past me, and then went out to the main road, and there was another police. What is that? Is that a hawk or a? You hear that? Falcon? As soon as I went out the main road, there was another police car parked on the road. So I saw two police in the span of about less than 5 minutes. And I had made, I'd gotten on the GPS and put my location. I went to get my hair cut about 25 miles away. And you can get there from like a northern route and a southern route. And I put it in my GPS. I made the appointment the day before, and the next morning I got up and I put it in my GPS, and I had a route that was populated, and I knew that I should have gone the other way. All right, so my advice is when you put stuff into your GPS and you have suggestions, the one that pops up first, don't take that. But I said, what the heck, I'll take it, and I'll just document the evidence. Nor I used to to tape everything on the road, and I had just countless videos on here of stuff happening on the road. I'm not doing that anymore, um, because it gets a little bit redundant. Anyway, I went on this route, and I got on the main highway, and as soon as I got on it, boom, there literally was it was speckled with fluorescent lime green vests. All right. They had, it was, it's kind of a highway, and they were cutting the median. It was a huge operation. So I'm flooded with a sea of uh, lime green vests. And then, of course, one of the lanes was closed. All right. So that's like standard operating procedure. So everything got clogged up, and um, I was going to be late, from just a little bit late, and I'm talking a couple of minutes because I'm always on time. And anyway, I get to the little shopping center area with my barber shop, and there's semi trucks all over it, and the fitness center that was next door to the barber shop was having all of their stuff, all their equipment, moved in or whatever, taken out, and it was just a mess. So there was like three semi trucks parked there, and there was another one on the other side, so I had to kind of come in, and I'm overwhelmed by all this kind of stimuli. Now, is that part of it? I don't know, but it was kind of a convenient coincidence that that was all going on when I went over there. As soon as I walk into the barber shop, and it's all Cuban guys, and most of them speak Spanish, and they do great work. I walked in and I sat down in my chair. I have a normal barber that I go to, and as soon as I sat down, an older gentleman, most likely some type of veteran, comes in, and he's wearing a shirt with a giant American flag on it, and he comes in the exact same time basically that I did, and we're the only two people in the joint, and he's acting all. I catch him, glimpsing at me, and the first thing I want to ask him is, who the fuck did you serve with? Like, because my unit, and it's one of the best in the history of the world, and that's no shit. That was literally in one of the veteran sites, rated my unit the number one unit of all time. So I'm kind of like, and these guys are there to fucking stress me out, and they did probably a small percentage of the shit I did overseas with the best unit in the history of the world. All right. And I could tell he's new because he's asking all these stupid questions, and this is, da da da. And so he was there for about 30 minutes, and then another Mexican or Cuban guy comes in, right? And there's like 5 chairs, and that perp previously was at one end, and I was all at the other end. This Cuban guy, patient comes or client comes in, and he sits down in the chair right next to me, where I'm getting my hair done. And all of a sudden, like all the barbers in there are like hanging around this guy and me. So I've got like 6 Cuban guys all speaking Spanish, and they're cutting this guy's hair. And I shit you not, like halfway through this guy getting his hair cut, he starts saying Spanish, and then in English he starts going, "Be safe, be safe." And he must have said it like 5 times. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, you got to be fucking kidding me." So I get my haircut done, or my haircut's finished. I leave. I grab something to eat. And let's see, there's nothing really happened at the restaurant that I was at. But I had to go to the VA to do like my online account. Conveniently went tits up for my online stuff, so I had to go to an advocate, and I had made the call the day before, and they said, "Oh yeah, there's a person here at the at the desk that can help you with all that. They're gonna be here tomorrow between 7 and 3:30 or whatever." So I could roll over there about 1 o'clock. I get there, boom, they called out. All right, so they were not there, as I was told that they were the day before. So I go back home, and basically that was it. So you think that you're out of the woods, and it comes back. They come back to remind you, and they're clearly watching, these videos, and because I said I wasn't getting any heat from the LEOs or paramedics or fire. Oh, and I went to the grocery store yesterday, the same also, and there was a ladder truck pulled up in front of the grocery store while I was in there. So I come walking out, and boom, there's a ladder truck that's parked, and the firemen came walking in very quickly, and I caught one of them looking at me like kind of, and of course they're all wearing sunglasses. When I came back, also that house that I mentioned before that was doing the nursery rhyme kitty psyop thing with blaring it out of the speakers in the backyard. Yesterday was trash day, and you have to put out these big trash containers out in the front yard, in front of your house. And in the morning, the trash truck comes and they emptied it in the morning, right? So when I left yesterday, as I drove by that house, that perp house, I noticed that they hadn't put their trash cans out. Okay, and I said, "Aha! I knew it because it was another sign that nobody's using that house." You know, like I put it in my mind. I said, "Okay, obviously they're not doing in there because they're not putting trash out every a week, right?" So I was kind of like evidence, and I went out and did my stuff, and as I came back and I passed that house again, they had put the trash cans out. All right. Now they already missed the trash truck, but they decided to put the cans out. Now that's pretty crazy because I was thinking about that in my mind, and when I came back, they put it out there. You know, even like I said, even though they missed the trash truck, they wanted to show that, uh, you know, there was activity at the house. I mean, that's really creepy. How did they know that? Or was I one step ahead of the game? So, that's basically what's been going on. Um, the Anybody that I've been talking to, I had an ex-girlfriend actually, kind of come back into my life. You know, sent me some messages and stuff, and she was very sweet, and I was reciprocated. We had these nice conversations, and she was like, maybe we can get back together and all this, that. And then all of a sudden, she got really nasty. So I was like, that's it. Like that other fucking broad that I was dealing with. Pardon my language. That other woman I was dealing with, who was a target. She's absolutely nuts. And I'm glad that I'm disentangled from that. But I'm concerned about talking to anybody. I'd mentioned that I met these two people on Doctor De Facto, and I'm just like, I don't even want to deal with it because am I going to expose myself to that bullshit again? This guy Doctor De Facto has a great channel, but I say to myself, is that a perp channel? I mean, it's a pretty sinister thing when you realize that everybody that maneuvers into your life is involved in this racket, you know. So my advice to anybody that is just don't trust anybody, and get used to being on your own. And I'm happy with it. I got no problem with it. I'm at peace, and it's eventually, maybe someday, I will promote it from my real life. Maybe down the road, if this becomes something that's talked about legitimately, then I will say, hey, I've been dealing with this for quite some time. And like I said, I thought initially it was because of my experience overseas. I spent 9 years over in Iraq and Afghanistan, initially as a combatant, and then as a high-level contractor doing things, and then eventually helping out with the intelligence side. I thought that was why I was targeted, but then I also think that my father was involved and was targeted as well because of his association with some very serious mob individuals who were involved with, like I said before, one of the most sensational disappearances in the history of America, which is still unsolved, and I know information about that. All right, so we'll see what happens. I'll I go out maybe 2 times a week. I keep a low profile, and I'm not spending money on gas either. So I'm not going to be documenting a lot of things unless I get stuff happen around here, around the house. But I'll probably be posting once a week just to update you folks on what's going on. All right, so stay frosty, and thanks for watching. Barry Stevens out.